Hello, and welcome to another episode of LSVT Global's newly launched podcast, Think Big and Loud, where we share inspiring stories, engaging conversation, and expert insights, all designed to empower and uplift those living with Parkinson's or other neurological conditions and those who love and support them. My name is Beth Peterson, and I will be your host for the show today. And today's episode features very special guest, Sister Phyllis Supanchek. And Sister Phyllis has kindly offered to share with us her journey with Parkinson's. So we'll talk about the truly remarkable person that she is. We'll also touch on her road to diagnosis. We'll talk about her experiences with deep brain stimulation, LSVT loud, LSVT big, and her continued participation in Big for Life. So she has a lot to share with us today. And so, Sister Phyllis, I'd like to just dive in with you. And so, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I know that you have and continue to wear many hats and hold many titles. So I think it would be helpful for the audience if you can just give kind of a brief overview of who you are, a little bit about your background and what you're doing today.
Yes, my name is Sister Phyllis Supanchek, and I was interested in becoming a PT when I was in high school. I was a volunteer in a nursery school for cerebral palsy kids, and I loved what the teacher did with them. And so I decided that's what I wanted to do. And so I went to college. Got my degree in PT and also education at the same time.
Oh.
Since then, I worked with regular kids in a classroom, taught 7th grade, and then I also taught developmentally disabled kids. And I really enjoyed it. So much so that I decided to go on for my master's work, develop programs throughout California, and then went on for my doctorate in special education.
Oh.
I was able to use my PT and my education background. So I really like that. I worked in a variety of places. I worked in Chicago, New Mexico, Peru, Honduras, Guatemala, Thailand, many places where I get a variety of experiences and also understood the cultural groups. I learned Spanish.
Wow.
So that I could communicate well with the people in various groups. And when I went into the missions, I rode a mule up the mountain and down the mountain. And every time I went up, it was very scary, let me tell you, because the mule likes to go on rocks, and so it jumps from one rock to another. But going down is more scary.
Yeah.
Because you're headed down, and there's no reins, no bridle. You just hold on to the mule for dear life. So it was a lot of fun, and I was scared to death. But when I got back to the States, eventually, when I was working in Chicago, I started falling. I couldn't figure out why I was falling. And I thought, well, maybe it's the snow. So I kind of put it aside until I got back to Grand Rapids, where I live now. And I kept falling, and my hands began to tremor really bad. So I went to a neurologist, and they diagnosed essential tremor. So I had a DBS surgery. I got infected, had everything taken out.
Mm.
Then I had another surgery. It got infected, had everything taken out, and had a third surgery. I said, that's the end. If it doesn't work, too bad.
Yeah.
And it did work. And I was very, very pleased with the results and have been since. However, the DBS, I think, has affected my speech. It has gotten worse over time.
Okay.
I had the surgery in 2015, and it gradually has gotten worse. Now, I did participate in Loud program and made a little bit of difference, and not a whole lot.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
And so I tried it again because I was determined to get my speech so it could be understood. And the speech therapist worked with me again on the Loud, and still I could only go so far in improving my speech. I should try exercising again. I'm kind of lazy at exercise. Isn't everybody? And so I didn't want to spend a lot of time exercising, and I am a receptionist at our facility. I live in an assisted living facility. I'm a receptionist, so I have plenty of chance to talk and to communicate with other people. So I work hard at that. And I figured that that is my exercise in Loud.
Yeah. So
Really work at it.
yeah. So I just want to kind of recap because I think remarkable is actually an understatement for your life. I think you are just exceptional. So just so I understand the journey. So you were first diagnosed with essential tremor, and then you had basically three surgeries for the deep brain stimulation. And the third one, the first two were not successful, and the third one was, but you still did not have a Parkinson's diagnosis yet?
I got Parkinson's diagnosis in 2019. They decided because of my gait and other things that I truly did have Parkinson's.
Okay.
I think it was just misdiagnosed in the beginning.
Got it. Okay.
It was very difficult to walk and to participate. So I also went for physical therapy.
Yeah.
And got into LSVT BIG.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I found out about it because I'm a curious person, and so I also always research something out. So one of the things I did was research what kind of exercise is appropriate for Parkinson's.
Okay.
And I saw LSVT, and I saw some videos on it, and I thought, that's something that I think I really should participate in. So I called to our neurologist, and she then referred me to the physical therapy, and I got into physical therapy BIG.
Okay.
And I really found that to be very helpful. My walking and my balance improved so much that I decided that that's what I needed to continue, because after 16 weeks it ends. And so I decided I need that for life.
Okay.
I need to keep doing this. And I need a group because I'm not very good at doing exercise by myself. I'm a PT, but I hate to exercise. Sounds fun, doesn't it? Weird.
I understand though. Yeah.
So I decided that I would participate in the LSVT BIG for life.
Okay.
And I'm registered in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I participate 2 times a week.
Oh.
Now, I haven't investigated on the loud yet. That's my next step.
Yeah.
I think I should do that too.
Yeah. So, Sister Phyllis, as you know, I am a speech language pathologist, and so I represent the LSVT loud side. So I can't cut you too much slack on not doing your exercises. So I would encourage you to look at the Loud for Life too, and we
Yeah,
can get some of those members to encourage you.
I'm going to, because I feel that I have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
I've
that's a good way
only
to look at
gained.
it. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to do, is
Yeah.
really get going on where I'm at. And I've enjoyed the LSVT BIG tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I would on the loud too.
Yeah.
When you're with a group, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyway.
I was going to ask, is there anything you particularly like about being in the Big for Life group?
That it's a group.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I like the people. I like the therapists. And so it's working out really well.
Okay.
So,
and it sounds like that helps you keep on top of exercising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm afraid I would be sedentary because I do hate to exercise.
Okay.
For anybody that's looking at this, you got to know that even PTs hate exercise.
So have you been able, at least on the LSVT BIG side, do you do any of the daily exercises on your own still?
Somewhat. I walk as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do primarily. I do some of the exercises by myself, but I'm again lazy, and I'm a receptionist.
Yeah.
And that's a full-time job for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So I like to have a little time for relaxation and enjoyment besides having to work all the time.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, do you think that in either treatment, LSVT loud or LSVT big, that you have been able to maintain your gains or even improve since you've been discharged from the treatments?
I can see gains.
Okay.
However, I know that Parkinson's is a progressive disease.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very much aware that I may lose a little bit, but if I keep exercising, that I won't lose as much as I would otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great tip for those out there, that practice truly will continue to help you. And what kinds of things did you notice, especially after LSVT big? Any changes in your movement, the improvements that you noticed?
Well, the nice thing is that we're taught the functional things connected with the exercises. There are many of the functional things that I've been able to implement. For instance, when I get into a bathroom, public bathroom that has low seats, to get up off of a low seat is very difficult for anybody with Parkinson's. It's difficult for anybody, I think. And so I noticed this last winter, I was in a hotel for a program, and all the seats were low.
Yeah.
And I thought, how am I going to get off this toilet seat? And I thought, just do what you know.
Mm.
And so I did exactly what I knew, and I
Yeah.
was able to get up every time. And so
Great.
those kinds of things make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's also things like the rock and reach, and
Oh.
so I have the. You see behind me, I have a lot of plants.
Mm-hmm.
Growing plants is my hobby,
Okay.
and they need to be watered. Well, I can't have anybody else water them. I have to water
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah.
So I have to reach up and water them from up above.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I've had functionally able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we work on: writing, handwriting, um, uh, putting things, stamps on envelopes.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds simple, but it's not so simple when
Mm-hmm.
you haven't got a good pincer
Mm-hmm.
grip.
Yeah.
So all these kinds of things have been very helpful to me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. I love that you brought up that connection. You're not just doing exercises, you're doing exercises that are helping you in your everyday life. And an example like watering the flowers, it's also empowered you to be able to continue to do something you love instead of having to turn that over to someone else. So I think
That's
that's really
right.
powerful that you've noticed that. It's let you keep doing your own hobbies. So that's great. And so I know you said the LSVT Loud you didn't feel was as successful with you. Did you notice any changes? And I just want to, sorry, I'm going to back up one step there. You had DBS and then you had LSVT Loud, right? You didn't have
Uh,
it before DBS.
I had after.
Okay, great. So you had DBS and then you had LSVT Loud.
Yeah.
And so did you notice changes and improvements in your voice or speech after LSVT Loud?
Well, because I met with a college professor as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I spoke at many occasions in teaching and in speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a difference in my voice, and that was really hard for me to accept
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't do any of that anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so the LSVT Loud helped me to articulate better.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to do that and how to make my voice loud so
Mm-hmm.
that people would hear me,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that you get very soft and also very hard to articulate
Mm-hmm.
the words. And so um, I did notice a difference with the LSVT Loud,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, I would like to say a greater difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I would have to do something about that.
Yeah. Well, and and for those in the audience too, so after you finish treatment, so we have options like you're in for Big for Life, we have that for Loud for Life, but we also encourage clinicians and clients to do tune-ups. So it could be time for a tune-up where you wouldn't have to go through the full 16 sessions again, but
Yeah.
you could work with an LSVT Loud clinician and she or he can kind of judge how many sessions might take you to kind of get back up to where you want to be. And then from there, you can kind of start fresh and keep on your exercise routine. Um, and it wouldn't have to be the full protocol again. And then also, you could consider Loud for Life. It sounds like I feel like you're doing a good job. I know you've talked to me a little bit about how you do have concerns with your voice, and I hear you being loud and I can understand you. And I think what's neat is you're saying that your articulation has improved, but for the client, we try really hard in therapy to just have you focus on being loud. And we see that spread of effects, and research supports that spread of effects into articulation as well. So it's neat that you've seen that too.
Yes. I would be interested in re-signing up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have taken some um, renewal, as it were,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
um, last year.
Okay.
I
Great.
did. And so that helped. Every little bit helps, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It
Yeah.
just is that when I listen to myself, it's not the same as
Yeah.
I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. And then, I'm sorry, I'm going back at kind of towards the beginning of our interview here when you were talking about DBS. So you said you did notice that your speech changed after that. Did
Mhm.
you have to adjust any settings in your
Um,
simulator to help with either
yes,
the
I
movement or
go
speech?
like every 4 months to my neurologist,
Okay.
and she resets the settings.
Okay.
But she knows that the trouble is that in order to keep the tremor down in my hands,
Mm-hmm.
she has to set the settings pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries for a balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she says, well, how much is it affecting your speech? And she notices a difference in my speech too, because it is slurred, it is slower, but it is understandable
Mm-hmm.
when I'm loud enough and
Mm-hmm.
put enough effort into it.
Yeah.
So I just have to remember to put that kind of effort into everything I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think that's great. There's a saying, and they do it in LSVT Big too, but if you don't think you're too loud, you're just loud enough. Or wait, I just said that wrong.
Yeah,
If you
no,
think you're too loud, you're just loud enough.
that's
And
right.
so it's just along those same lines of what you're saying. Sometimes you may still feel continued effort, and that's how you know you're being loud enough and people can hear and understand you. And I know they have that phrase on the big side too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also having another problem that I'm getting deaf, and so slowly.
Okay.
It's not too bad right now, but I do have hearing aids
Okay.
that
Hmm.
I'll be wearing. They're in the shop to be fixed right now, but so I don't have them on. But um, I think that affects a person's speech too. When you don't hear
Hmm.
and hearing aids make you hear yourself more. And I don't know if that's good or bad,
Yeah,
but
well, and that could be when you get the hearing aids kind of tuned up, that could be another chance when you go in for any tune up sessions with LSVT Loud so that you're practicing with that in with your new, more, I guess, tuned up hearing aids. So that can help that you've done some treatment sessions with it in so that you know what it's going to be like and you've practiced just like it's going to be in your daily life. So
yeah.
it's great that you're taking care of that too, because that will be helpful.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
taking care of everything I
I
can.
know you're on top of it. I know you're very inspiring. So what would your goals be for managing your Parkinson's moving forward?
Um, well, one of the things that I have to do is remember that when I need to exercise, I can't just sit back and um, pretend that it's going to be okay.
Mm.
I also know that it is going to get progressively worse and that I could develop hallucinations, I could develop dementia. None of that has happened yet, thank goodness. But it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I try to do is inform myself as much as possible
Mm-hmm.
about Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's terribly important. It's the
Mm-hmm.
more you know, the more you understand. The other thing is I participate in research projects.
Mm.
I'm donating my brain to science, and I'm in process of doing that. I've also participated in a research project that took speech accessibility.
Oh, yeah.
There, Microsoft and Apple and several other companies have developed a research project with their engineers to listen to the speech of people who have Parkinson's and stroke and other things, cerebral palsy, and I forget what the other one, or Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to look at the speech patterns of each of these particular groups and then develop in their engineering department things like Siri and all those things that computer have to listen to your speech and so forth, and that they will be able to understand it and be able to type what you want to say without any mistakes. It does it now. I've tried it, but it makes all kinds of mistakes on the telephone and on the computer. That it's easier for me to type than to do it by microphone. So that's one other research. So I'm participating in a variety of research projects as they come up and that I know about. And I think that is important for Parkinson's understanding. Then to continue working toward my exercise, both in big and I will on the house.
Okay.
And try to keep up with what I need to do to keep physically fit and able to do things. I also belong to communities like the Michigan Parkinson's Association has, I want to say pen pals kind of thing, but other people who have Parkinson's, you can communicate with them on things that they want to talk about too. And so I am doing some of that.
Yeah.
So all these things
Yeah.
in understanding and participating in Parkinson's activities. I'll join the Parkinson's is going to have a walk-a-thon here in Grand Rapids.
Oh, nice.
Very close to where I am. I'm going to participate in that, either as a volunteer or as a walker. I don't know which yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you really are. I mean, inspiring is just the word that keeps coming to mind because you're just, I mean, you stay on top of everything, and that truly is inspiring. And I feel like you will inspire a lot of people who might be watching that, you're staying active, you're staying engaged, you're continuing with your hobbies and work, and, you're doing the exercises and staying informed and participating in research and other types of community groups. And I think that's amazing. And I think you have such a positive energy about you. And I feel like all these things that you do really, to me, that's what I see contributes to that positivity.
I haven't had any time to get depressed. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. In order to stay awake, you can say, poor me, and go into that kind of a mode. But the more that I think that you can stay engaged
Mm-hmm.
with other people and participate in activities,
Mm-hmm.
the better off you're going to be as a person with Parkinson. Because it's easy just to retire, to pull back, and do
Mm-hmm.
not do anything. I've seen that happen. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people do that, and it discourages me
Yeah.
to see them do that.
Yeah.
I I can't live like that. I have
Yeah.
to live a full life, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm decided that that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, those are some great words of wisdom, and I think you certainly are living a very full life.
I am.
So, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I can tell. And it is, it's contagious. So it's really a pleasure talking to you and hearing about it all. I just have a couple other things I'll touch on before I let you go today. But I was just curious if there's anything that you would want to share with speech language pathologists, physical therapists, or occupational therapists, what you wish they knew or would know about working with someone with Parkinson's.
Well, listen. Number one, listen to your patient. Um, that's what I always did as a PT, and I believe it very strongly that listen to what they say, where they're at, and what they need. Um, when I said that to my physical therapist, that I felt that I wasn't able to write, and I had done beautiful calligraphy
Mm,
as a person before, and but now couldn't even write, and
mm,
my writing got smaller and smaller, and it was illegible.
mm,
Um, they listened to that,
mm.
and they said, "Okay, we're going to refer you to the occupational therapist
Right. Mm-hmm.
who will help you with your writing, who will
Mm,
help you with your fine motor kinds of problems, because I couldn't button anything, I
mm,
couldn't pull up zippers." And so they referred me to a person that could help.
mm-hmm.
That is something that I appreciate.
Yeah.
So I say, listen to whatever the person is saying. Now, like I am saying on my speech, I slur, I um, have difficulty in articulation. Help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
Help me be loud enough that I can be out there and be present to other people, and they will hear me and understand me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would say to a speech therapist.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
and
perfect. I wanted to make sure I was listening. So
yeah,
I was trying to take your words to heart. No, I think that's great. And I think it's important. Sometimes I think there's a misconception with either LSVT loud or LSVT big that the treatment protocols are so standardized that we can't individualize them. And they very much can be. And so things that you're saying, therapists can work those into the goals. So even though you might be more concerned about articulation and slurring, we'll work on loudness, but we're also addressing that as clinicians. And what you're saying with the big
yeah.
side, so LSVT big, they'll certainly include handwriting and fine motor skills in your goals. And so I think it's great for them to think that
Yeah.
way and for you to bring that up to them.
Also, something that I noticed is that the PTs who are working on the big include cognitive stuff,
Oh, mm-hmm.
and that is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest always that be included as much
Mm-hmm.
as possible,
Yeah.
so that those of us that still need to be challenged in
Mm-hmm.
thinking can do that
Yeah.
while we're working on articulation, while we're working on being loud enough,
Yeah.
etc.
That's great. So yeah, continuing those challenges, some of that dual tasking is what we'll do in therapy, and you found that to benefit you too. Yeah.
So count to 100 by fours. Let me tell you, that's hard.
That is hard. Yeah.
Or backwards, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, these are great tips. Thank you for sharing that. So the last thing I wanted, and you kind of have touched on it because you've just been talking about what you do, but if there's anything you wish more people understood about living with Parkinson's and the benefits of these therapies.
I say get involved in whatever is an interest to you. Like one of the things that I do, besides my plants, is that I do a Bible study with prisoners. I'm very interested in prisoners. I cannot go into the jails and work with them, but I can do a correspondence course, and I enjoy that. And so I work with Crossroads on that. You can get involved in whatever has an interest to you. Find that interest and then follow it.
Mm-hmm.
And get your therapist to help you on it. If you need help in finding interest, talk to people
Mm-hmm.
who have some suggestions, whether it be a social worker or person in your facility or a caretaker. Talk to people about your interests, your grandchildren, if you're married and have children, and maybe you have grandchildren. Take an interest in them and what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that I think people with Parkinson's can do. That's a big long word. But there's a lot of things that people can do. And so I say, get involved. Do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's great. I think those are perfect words of wisdom to end on. So thank you for sharing about your journey and story and truly all the incredible things that you've done and continue to do. You really are, I mean, inspiring. I need to get more synonyms for that word, but it's truly an honor to talk with you and hear your story. And I appreciate you spreading the word to anyone who may be listening.
Well, they don't call me just Super Chick. They call me Super Chick.
I believe it. You have a perfect last name. That's great. Well, thank you. So I'll go ahead and close, but I just have a few credits to close on. So again, a big thank you to you, Sister Phyllis Super Chick, for being with us today. We really appreciate your time. And for those listening, the theme song that you're hearing at the beginning and end is called Think Loud for Parkinson's. It's by Kindred Spirit and Leo Sayer. It's a new song and video that were actually inspired by LSVT Loud speech treatment, and it was developed to raise awareness for Parkinson's worldwide. It is available for purchase on iTunes and Amazon, with the proceeds being split between a UK charity called Cure Parkinson's and the Parkinson's Foundation in the US. We have a production team who makes all the behind the scenes work and make the podcast possible. That's CS Design Studios. And if you're interested in learning more about LSVT Loud speech therapy or LSVT Big physical or occupational therapy, or you want to locate therapists in your area, we encourage you to visit our website. It's lsvtglobal.com. And then you should also have a button on your screen here to click to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And as I mentioned, we're just getting started with these. This is our third episode. We'd love to have subscribers join us on this journey as we continue to develop the program more. And we look forward to thinking big and loud again with you next time. So thank you all for joining us.